Hey, Nuclear Dad Gang, what is going on? This is episode 12, and I think I'm going to title it after the song, The Boys Are Back in Town. That song's by Thin Lizzy. I remember that song from the movie 48 Hours, which is one of my favorite movies. Anything Eddie Murphy pre maybe 1992, 93, nah, maybe 96. That third Beverly Hills Cop and Pluto Nash were whack. In all honesty. But classic Eddie Murphy? Oh, forget about it. He could do no wrong. He was Kevin Hart before Kevin Hart was Kevin Hart. Eddie changed the game. He's an icon. I'm a big fan of his movies, his early movies. But anywho, the reason I chose that song, and I have a title for the show for the first time ever before even starting the show, The Boys Are Back in Town. I was at a party today. Well, it's midnight now, so technically yesterday. I was at a party today for my sons, my boys. And at this party, there were, we invited kids from their class, and a few showed up, a lot didn't. All good. The ones that showed up are the normal parents that I see at every other kid's party. And in this party are the dads. Me being a dad, I'm usually keeping an eye on the kids, but also, talk to the dads every once in a while. And I've been telling them about the Nuclear Dad for a couple of weeks, because we went to a party a couple of weeks back. That could have been last week. I actually think it was. I've done so many episodes between the party last week and my boys' party this week that it feels like it's been longer. Anyway, I digress. I've been telling them about the Nuclear Dad and the inspiration behind it and the idea behind it of what I'm trying to get out of it. And the whole idea is I was looking for resources for married men, and I couldn't find what I was looking for, so I decided to create it, which is the Nuclear Dad, right? And when I'm talking to some of these men, I kind of have the same spiel, right? Like, we don't have anywhere to go. We don't have a community. We don't have a group. We don't have a safe haven. We don't have a space where men can talk about men stuff. Yeah, you got places where certain caliber of men, certain type of men who live a certain lifestyle, they have plenty of spaces. But outside of the barbershop, I may have even said this on another show, outside of the barbershop or an old friend, a brother, trusted colleague, a mentor, or a shrink, or the basement wall that you stare at, maybe yell at, or when you're inside your car and you may bang on your steering wheel a couple times, we don't have a place to go. And in talking to these fathers, I realized that I like to develop a relationship with these core group of men. So I asked for everybody's phone number because I said I want to send you some cool dad stuff as a thank you in the next coming days. So I got to pump out some more material, which is why I'm doing 2 episodes. So I can sit back and chill and come up with some things to give to these guys as a sign of gratitude for coming to my kids' party and as a sign of brothers in arms. Because all these men are married, I believe. But if they're not, they are definitely fathers, which if one of the 2 categories are checked off, you're in the club. You're in the league of extraordinary gentlemen. But these men all agree, you're right. We don't have anything. We're supposed to just suck it up. We're supposed to suffer in silence. But we are social creatures as humans. And I think for most men, when you think about socializing, you're either thinking about going to play a sport, going to drink something, going somewhere to watch women, or socializing with a woman. But outside of that, what do we have as married men, as husbands, as fathers? Not much. Slim pickings, am I right? So That's what this was about. That's what this whole thing is about. And that's what this episode is going to be about. So let's get into some music. And I want to give a shout out to the crew, to the fellas, to these dads that I've grown semi-close with in dadship over this last school year, because we've been to I don't know how many parties. But in those parties, I usually see some of the same dads. Every once in a while, there's a new face. The moms are always there. Some dads come, some dads switch off with their wives. I think I've only missed one. I don't know why, but in the last couple of months, these guys' faces are familiar because, we just see each other in passing, dropping our kids off. And sometimes it's just a wife. But because my kid's school is so close to my job, I do 99% of the drop-offs and pickups. So I see these faces all the time. And when there's a party, we get to mingle and talk. But this is for you guys and every other man that's listening. But the talks I had today with these fathers inspired the show. So shout out to the dad crew. All right, guys, that was Crew Love by Canada's own Drizzy Drake. So I want to get into this real quick. I want this to be a quick episode. This is like just a dedication and more clarity on what the nuclear dad is. So I want to run through some things. Like I said, we are social creatures and we need social interactions with people, with other like-minded people, with people who are of a similar mindset. I don't want to say, similar careers, because people who have all walks of life, when you're younger, your peers are based on the people of your immediate surroundings, right? Like geographically, friends in school, friends in the neighborhood, maybe some friends in like a family's neighborhood. You go visit your cousins on the weekend or in the summer. They're friends. It's a social circle based on proximity. But as you get older, you get to choose. You get to choose who you want to be in that social circle, who you want to actually be friends with. And sometimes part of the problem is when you grow up, you may realize that the people that you thought were friends aren't really friends. We've all been through that. I've been through it more times than I'd like to remember. But I want to talk about camaraderie, right? Now, you have camaraderie versus camaraderie. Camaraderie is the warm feelings of friendship, closeness, and loyalty shared among a group of people or a team of people. Camaraderie is a relative New English word added in 1840, comes from the French word blah blah blah. Camaraderie means warm feelings of friendship, closeness, and loyalty shared amongst a group of people or a team. It's pretty much the same thing, right? I guess it's the spelling. That's interesting. Let's see what else we got. Feeling of friendliness, goodwill, and familiarity among people in the group. Okay, so it's a spelling thing. So let's go to this thing called mensgroup.com, camaraderie. What is camaraderie and how do men find it? What is camaraderie? Are there benefits to being in a camaraderie? Am I in a camaraderie? Should I be part of a camaraderie? Are you curious about camaraderie? Say that 5 times fast. If you're looking for information, blah, 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 this is the article for you. My name is Sean Galla. I facilitate camaraderie groups and connections with more than 10 years experience. I've created mensgroup.com, a camaraderie platform that offers support and lifelong friendships to men. If you are curious about this group, this article will tell you everything you need to know about platonic camaraderie relationships. So what is it? According to the Online English Dictionary, the definition is mutual trust and friendship among people who spend a lot of time together. Synonyms of the French word would include friendship, comradeship, fellowship, sociability, good fellowship, togetherness, companionship, brotherhood, sisterhood, mutual support, blah, 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 blah. Antonyms, of course, dislike and hate, things like that. It's a non-sexual relationship for people of the same sex. Qualities of a healthy camaraderie: loyalty, dependability, honesty, protectiveness, share interests. Again, nuclear dad, that's what we're here for. Build each other up, not tear each other down, hold each other accountable, be support. I have a little compassion and maybe a little advice when needed. They talk about benefits. The benefit can relieve stress. You can be yourself around your friends. Helps with your health. Your comrades are more than friends. No matter how close you are to your partner, there's a level of emotional closeness and vulnerability you cannot reach. Having male friends allow you to explore the depths of emotional attachments and vulnerability in a safe space. Most men feel emotionally closer to their male friends, which is what a camaraderie should be. They can elevate your mental health. Good stuff. Now, we are back on theartofmanliness.com. True comradeship. Of the short stories Jack London penned, In a Far Country is my favorite. The story follows two characters London calls the Incapables, who travel to the savage and unforgiving Alaskan North searching for gold and adventure. The men make a very poor go of things. They bicker, shirk chores, hoard food, take pleasure in each other's suffering, and ultimately come to a bad end. The Incapables' most glaring problem was that they lacked what London called true comradeship. At the beginning of In a Far Country, London describes the quality as part of the overall shift a man must make if he is to successfully be part of a wilderness expedition. This is an excerpt from the book. His pinch will come in learning properly to shape his mind's attitude toward all things, and especially toward his fellow man. 4. The courtesies of ordinary life, he must substitute unselfishness, forbearance, and tolerance. Thus, and only thus, can he gain that pearl of great price, true comradeship. He must not say thank you. He must mean it without opening his mouth, and prove it by responding in kind. In short, he must substitute the deed for word, the spirit for the letter. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but The Art of Manliness has some awesome things. And it's the fact that men need camaraderie. We need a group. Maybe you play baseball. Maybe you play football. Maybe you play hockey. Whatever. I'm not negating that. But the fact is, we are social creatures. And a nuclear dad was created to facilitate the sociability of husbands and fathers. I met these group of dudes. They're cool. I want to build a relationship with them. If nothing else, give them information, creating podcasts, shooting it to them as soon as it's out. If that's all it is, I'm cool with that. If they say, hey, you want to get the kids together and have a play date outside of these parties that we go to every other month, I'm cool with that. If they say, yo, me and the wife are going out to eat, you want to come join? Cool. I'm cool with that. Whatever it is. No expectations, no limitations. All I'm saying is men need men. And I'm going to put this information out for men so they know that they're not alone. Now, I'm on something called nature.com. Nature, human behavior, the cooperative human. Human beings are a social species that rely on cooperation to survive and thrive. Understanding how and why cooperation succeeds or fails is integral to solving the many global challenges we face. Cooperation lies at the heart of human lives and society. From day-to-day interactions to some of our greatest endeavors, understanding cooperation, what motivates it, how it develops, how it happens, and when it fails to happen, is therefore an important part of understanding all kinds of human behavior. In this focused issue of Nature, Human Behavior, we bring together review, opinion, and research content on human cooperation from across the journal scope, including evolution, anthropology, ecology, economics, neuroscience, and environmental science, to spark interdisciplinary conversation and perhaps even inspire some scientific cooperation. In our dedicated collection on cooperation, nature.com, collections, blah, 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 we combine new commissioned content with work from our archive that exemplifies the breadth of inquiry in this important interdisciplinary field. I'm not going to get into this because it's super long, but These science nerds are basically telling you that there are a bunch of people from a bunch of different disciplines and a bunch of different specialties that have studied for years to tell you that we need to be around each other and talk. Here's something else from the National Library of Medicine: the neurobiology of human social behavior, an important but neglected topic. The past few decades have produced important advances in our understanding of how the brain regulates emotion and cognition. In comparison, research on the neuroscience of human social behavior is a relatively neglected topic in spite of the importance of social interactions for mental health. In this editorial, I give examples of some of the experimental approaches that have been used to study the neural substrates of human social behavior in the hope that it will stimulate more researchers to become involved with this fascinating and important topic. Humans are inherently social. We are not special in this way. It is hard to think of any animal whom the regulation of social behavior is not important. Something akin to social behavior may even occur in organisms lacking a nervous system. For example, Science recently published an article entitled Genetic Determinants of Self-Identity and Social Recognition in Bacteria. Different animals, including humans, share many of the same types of social behavior, such as affiliation and aggression, the establishment of hierarchy and territoriality. This can be the case even in species such as ants with a primitive brain, although we may share some of the border aspects of our social behavior with more primitive species. Human social behavior is obviously more complex, but no less important for our health and survival. Given the importance of social interactions for humans, it is not surprising that most psychiatric disorders involve some disruption of normal social behavior, and that in several disorders, abnormal social functions is one of the central symptoms. Example: autism, social anxiety disorder, borderline personality disorder, and schizotypal personality disorder. I ain't never heard of schizotypal. I heard of schizophrenic. But these science nerds are saying across different species on the planet, even in bacteria, I'm pretty sure it's the same in single-celled amoebas, things need to be around things that are like the thing that it is. Make sense? You need to be around things that you have a familiarity and a common bond with, i.e., girls get together, they go have mimosas, they go to the nail salon, they go to the hairdresser, they talk about how stupid we are and how much they love us, but we get on their nerves and all of the things. Men rarely do that. Once or twice. I was to get my car fixed one day, and this guy, the auto shop I goes to, they play the news, which is okay if you like the news, but they play the news all the time, and then the guy who owns the shop always talks about how terrible the world is. They're like, dude, turn the news off, put on some music. So this guy's in there, and we start talking about something. It's a chilly day, and we talk about the weather, and he talks about something dealing with sports. I don't watch sports. I'm a scholar, but I say, yeah, okay, but it sounds good, but I don't really watch it. Yada, yada, yada. So he's fishing for all of these subjects. Then he starts talking about his ex-wives. I think he's had several. But this man was obviously hurt. And he was calling them all kinds of words that I will not use here in case children are listening. And this man was angry. And I guess he thought that we were going to connect. It was Mother's Day. No, it wasn't Mother's Day. It was the day before, the Saturday before Mother's Day, because I had flowers in the car for my wife. I went and grabbed some flowers, went and dropped my car off, and called the Uber and came back home. And I guess this guy thought that we were going to connect on his women bashing tirade. I listened to him. I didn't really engage. And he was telling me how terrible this lady is, and she's a doctor, and, you know, the B's ain't SHIT, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, you got to get some counseling or something. I didn't say it to him, but I was thinking it. And he's a police officer. So he's already dealing with stress from the job, stress at home, child support, all of that. And I feel for the guy. I'm not judging him. I feel for the guy. But he obviously needed somebody to talk to. I guess I was that guy. And this was before the nuclear dad was even a thing. I don't even know if I had the thought yet. But this man was really mad. And I think about the fathers that I've been talking to, the husbands that I've been talking to, that say, that's a great idea. What you're talking about is a great idea, because they know it's something that's needed. Social interaction is needed. And we're on the tail end of a situation that was worldwide, where we did what? Social distance. So you don't think that created a wedge in relationships of same sex and different sexes? Divorce rates are spiking. Mental health crises are spiking. What do you think that's doing to the man that has to be the man of the house, when he has to wear a mask when he's around his buddies, when he can't go to certain places and stand close to people and express genuine human interest and concern? You can't read facial expressions. You can't tell somebody smiling or frowning or scowling. All you see is eyes. And that is a microscopic view of the macroscopic problem that I'm trying to address with this platform and with this particular show, is that we need each other. And I'm there for you, bro. Just like I hope you'll be there for me. I had an issue with the neighbor a couple of weeks ago. He went to the market and locked his keys in his car. And his wife, he calls his wife calls my wife. And my wife's like, I'm going to go get him and bring him home. I'm going to go bring the groceries, because he was outside the car and he had the groceries. This is when it was fairly warm outside. It wasn't blazing hot, but it was one of those days where it was getting warm and the stuff could have spoiled, because AAA was going to be like 2 hours to get to him. So she was going to take the wife to go get the groceries, to bring it back home, and he would sit there and wait. And I said, I can get him into his car. And my wife was like, you can? I was like, yeah, I can get his car open. So I get his wife and his daughter. I don't know why they went. Moral support, I guess. I didn't need him there. But we go around. He's sitting on the ground next to his car with a bunch of groceries, looking like he's about to cry. Seriously. But I know what that feeling is like. I said, what we got? I got some things from the house before I left, and I'm doing my thing. And this random man comes up, doesn't speak a lot of English. I speak very little Spanish, but we were able to communicate. And he gave me something I need to help me get this door open. And we got the lock open. We popped the lock. And this guy was just relieved, because he had left his keys in the car seat. Somebody could have broke the window and just to take the keys and take the car. Glad they didn't. Glad I was able to help. And I took him home. I even saved him a parking spot. He parked his car. Flash forward an hour and a half later, I'm eating dinner. And he knocks on the door. I come to the door. Well, actually, my wife opened it. And she said, oh, so-and-so's outside. He wants you. I'm eating wings. I go to the door. My food's in my hand. I got stains on my shirt. I'm like, what's up? He was like, oh, man, I just wanted to thank you again. Like, his voice was cracking, because I don't think he has people that will help him. Not like that. I don't think he had. I've met some of his friends. I don't want to say they're useless, but some of them maybe. I know they don't live close. I talked to one guy. He's not close. And these guys work. So he really didn't have anybody he could call. And his voice is cracking. He was like, oh, man, I really want to thank you. I just thank you so much. Like, he didn't even know what to say. He just wanted to say thank you, but he said it like 5 different ways. And he was like, what can I give you some money? What can I do? I was like, no, you're good. He's like, just tell me what I can do. And I looked him in his eye, and I swallowed the chicken that I had in my mouth. This whole time I'm talking, my mouth's full. I'm still eating. And he says, and I say to him, I said, one day, I'm going to call you, because I'll need a favor. And before I could finish, he said, and I will be there for you, sir. And that's what it's about. Helping each other out in a time of need. Being there when your homies call. Yes. That was If My Homies Call by the late great Tupac Shakur. We're going to quickly run through 2 more articles, and then we're out of here. Bear with me. This one is from Forbes.com from 2015. We humans are social beings, and why that matters for speakers and leaders. Of course, we're going to spin it for husbands and fathers. We humans are social beings. We share mirror neurons. Why can't I say that? Mirror neurons. We share mirror neurons that allow us to match each other's emotions unconsciously and immediately. We leak emotions to each other. We anticipate and mirror each other's movements when we are in sympathy or agreement with one another. When we're on the same side, we can mirror each other's brain activity. That's why they say two heads are better than one. And when we're engaged in storytelling and listening, both halves of the communication conundrum. This is the human state and is directly contrary to the way most people think about communication. This old model has a sender, a message, a receiver, feedback, and noise. It is far too mechanical and simple to describe adequately what's really going on, but it leaves out the communal nature of communications. We want to achieve the state of human communion. It is a mistake to think that most humans prefer the solitary life that so much of modern life imposes on us. Think about the last 2 years, guys. We are mostly comfortable when we're connected, sharing strong emotions and stories, and led by a strong, charismatic leader who is keeping us safe and together. Of course, that can have a dark side. When a leader is unprincipled or lacks integrity, bad things can happen. But that's hardly news. A quick review of any period of human history will demonstrate that sad truth. Remember I talked about the wicked kings? If you want to lead a group of people to achieve on the positive side of the equation more than any individual can achieve alone, this is how you do it. You develop a sense of how you inhabit space and modify that to fulfill the role you want to inhabit. You focus and control your emotions for key conversations, meetings, negotiations, and presentations. You harness the power of your unconscious mind to read other people's reliability and quickly. You develop the leadership power of your voice, and you strengthen the nonverbal leadership signals you send out in important moments and situations. And you tap into the power of your unconscious mind to create a positive sense of what's possible for you, tuning yourself up to be ready to lead. Now, this is very interesting. All of that work prepares you to put your vision across to people in powerful, persuasive ways. Then finally, you learn how to be a storyteller who taps into the deep stories of human history and mythology to bring your message into being. You can control the human interaction if you're intentional about your communication in this way. You think about what you want to say, you think about the emotions you want to project, and you bridge the undeniable differences among humans by the clarity of your story and the depth of your focus of your emotions. That's what holds your listener. If you show up half present, conflicted, nervous, distracted, or with something else on your mind, you won't hold the attention of the listener. But if you know what you're doing, you can take charge of your listener's brain and get it to match yours. That's how the magic of persuasion works. Our brains commune. We jump the human divide. We share the same emotions at the same time. And there's a final irony. If you, as the leader, are not willing to listen to your listeners, you will eventually drive them away. Communication can't just flow in one direction. It is always two-way. Remember two-way radios back in the day? Side note, little chirp joints. Like, where you at? I hated those things. Oh, God. I used to catch the bus. When they were popular. And there was always somebody loud on the bus chirping something inappropriate. I was a kid back then, and even then I knew certain things you don't say out loud in public. Hated them. Anyway, that guy was talking about how we mirror one another, how we need to be in close proximity of others, and when we are in conversation to somebody who is a dynamic speaker or has a point or a story or a point of view that we agree with, that we're in line with, it's almost like we're reading their mind. It's almost like they're reading our mind. The conversation flows. We're designed to be next to people or on the internet or on the phone, but we're designed to communicate with people, and we'll know when people are for us because it'll spark something internal. These mirror neurons will come on and start firing, and you'll be like, you know what? I like this guy, which I hope many of you have already said about me. Last and final article, and then we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. But you guys know I'm long-winded by now. If you don't, you should know I have a black belt in conversation. Dana.org. In Sync, How Humans Are Hardwired for Social Relationships. This is a neuroscience report from 2019. It's not very long. The great philosopher Aristotle once wrote, "Man is by nature a social animal." And while his statement at the time had more to do with the benefits of a civilized society than how the human brain may be wired, decades of research in the neuroscience realm has largely supported his thoughts on the matter. At Neuroscience 2019, the annual meeting of the Society for Neuroscience, researchers from around the world came together to discuss the latest insights into the social brain and suggest that strong social connections may be facilitated by synchronous brain activity between two or more people. Mirror neurons. Just talked about it. Human beings are wired to connect. We got this Wi-Fi that connects to the other Wi-Fi, and we get all Wi-Fi. You know what I'm saying? Human beings are wired to connect. We have the most complex and interesting social behavior out of all animals, said Michael Platt, PhD, a biological anthropologist from University of Pennsylvania Perelman School of Medicine, who moderated a press conference on the social brain at the conference. The social behavior is a critical part of our adaptive toolkit. It allows us to come together and do things that we wouldn't be able to do on our own. We're only just beginning to uncover how these mechanisms may operate in real-world activities, and the findings are really exciting. Empathy and interbrain synchrony. Historically, scientists attempted to understand the social behavior by looking at one person at a time, but that is not sufficient to understand the neural underpinnings behind such complex interactions, said Simone Shami Touj. I don't even know this lady's name. She's a PhD though. A social neuroscientist at the University of Haifa. That's not America. To better understand what may be occurring in the brain when we interact with others, she argued, it is vital to take a look at the two-brain approach and look at both parties. This is especially important when trying to study something like empathy. Empathy basically is the ability to feel and understand other people's emotions. There are both emotional aspects of empathy, where we share the same feelings as someone else, as well as cognitive aspects, where our ability to take someone else's perspective on a situation, she said. These kinds of empathetic interactions between people occur every day, but most of the studies looking at empathy have only focused on one side of the interaction, usually what is occurring with the empathizer, and quite artificial tasks. Since empathy is dynamic, interactive processes that involve both the empathizer and the person they are generally generating empathy for. Let's start over. Let me slow down. I read fast. I'm sorry. I can't say it as fast as I read it. Sorry, guys. Since empathy is dynamic, interactive processes that involve both the empathizer and the person they are generating empathy for, this doctor hypothesized it would be beneficial to scan the brains of both parties simultaneously, using an approach called hyperscanning, where multiple study participants have their brain scan activity measured using an EEG at the same time while interacting with one another. The doctor and her colleagues hope to better understand the give and take of empathy in a situation where one person is experiencing physical pain. The researchers recruited people in pairs. One of the two participants received a heat stimulus that resulted in a burn-like sensation. The other held their opposite hand, offering empathy and support. When the pairs were strangers, the researchers did not see much of an effect, but when the pairs were romantic partners, the doctor said they saw similar patterns of alpha mu band brain activity, a type of brainwave previously implicated in empathy, in the right frontal lobe, in both the person feeling the pain and the person giving comfort. In fact, the greater that brain synchrony between the two, the less pain the person receiving the heat stimulus reported. Damn, so you can share pain with somebody physically depending on how strong you're connected. Think about that. Suggesting the comforting touch of the empathizer may contribute to a form of touch-related analgesia. What did I just say? It's freaking love Novocaine, man. We know that hand-holding is important for social support. It can make us feel better, she said, but we did not expect to see a higher level of synchronous brain activity that would lead to this analgesic effect. Now here we go. Synchrony and team flow. Brain synchrony also appears to be important to successful teamwork. Mohammed Shihata, PhD, a neuroscientist at the California Institute of Technology, said that there are examples in sports, dance, music, and even group video game playing where teams reach a flow state. I think everyone has experienced a flow state at some point in their lives, he said. You are engaged in a task, you get super focused, you lose sense of time, you feel more creative, and you perform at a very high level. 12 podcasts in 6 days. Come on. It's also quite enjoyable state. As you can imagine, this is a wonderful experience as an individual. But, oh man, come on with the pop-up. Norton Live Up, come on. I got antivirus. I'm sorry, guys. This is a wonderful experience as an individual, but it may be even more so when you're part of a team that forms this unique cognitive rhythm. The doctor stated it was unknown if a team flow state differed from an individual one. To answer the question, the colleagues recruited music students to play Guitar Hero video-like game both individually and as a social group while they underwent the EEG hyperscanning. They discovered that, like in romantic couples, there was a high level of brain synchrony when the teams were able to reach a flow state in the game, with similar patterns of brain activity in the temporal lobe as well as the frontal cortex. We found that this synchrony only happened in team flow. It's not happening when you're by yourself, only when you are in this team and reach this state, he said. In future studies, we hope to investigate more about how and why this kind of synchronization happens in the brain, because if we can monitor it and understand it, we may be able to one day find ways to enhance team flow experience and build more effective teams in the future. Nuclear Dad, we're building a team, man. If you still on here, if you locked in, we are in the flow state, baby. To sync or not to sync? That is the question. This doctor was too quick to point out her study. This is the doctor whose name I can't pronounce, from the University of Haifa. She was too quick to point out that her study only found a high level of synchrony in romantic couples, not strangers. So there may be something special about those relationships that help to build those unique patterns of brain activity. Yet, she said there is evidence that when a doctor touches a patient during treatment, the patient will experience a better outcome from the interaction. Because, doctors notoriously are known for not touching people. The nurses come in. Doctors come in with the charts and give you the bad news. The nurses are the one that's touching you. But if you get the bad news from the person that's touching you, the outcome might not be that bad. Think about that. I think when touch comes from someone we trust and there's a real connection between them, it creates a kind of synchrony that can help, she said. That is why when something bad happens, we go to someone we know instead of strangers. And we may be able to use this kind of synchrony to better understand trust and empathy in the future. As some experts suggest, the United States is now experiencing an epidemic of loneliness. This was written long ago, so the epidemic must be even worse now, what's happened in the last 2 years with this virus. With 50% of people saying they feel acutely lonely, understanding the neurobiological underpinnings of social connections may be more important than ever. This lack of connection is a huge problem, Platt said. So if we can understand a little bit more about how we do connect with one another and how that affects us, and maybe even ways to facilitate those kinds of connections, I think there could be immense translational benefits. I wish I had sound effects because I would drop a bomb. I would drop a bomb right now. All of that stuff. Now, we got into neuroscience. I didn't even know we was going there today. But I'm glad we did. I hope it opened up your eyes. I hope you guys understand why I said having this talk with these men did something to me. It made me realize that what I'm doing is for a purpose. I mean, I knew it was, but I understand more how much it truly is needed. I created this because I couldn't find what I wanted. And I started doing it, and I started reaching out to men. I was in a park today with my sons, and we talked to like 3 different men. Told them about the podcast. Got more subscribers on YouTube. But the point is, talking to people, seeing their reaction. I guess we were in a flow state. I guess it was some mirror neurons. Maybe I said what they wanted to hear, or they felt what I needed to feel. But it inspired me to come in and get this cracking again. Now it's 1:28 in the morning, and I got to be to work at 8 o'clock. So that means I got to get up in 6.5 hours. I'm sorry, 5.5 hours. But you know what? When the doctor said, when you get in the flow state, you lose sense of time. And it's extremely enjoyable. And that's exactly what's happening. So I've been up about 20 hours. Like 19 hours. Don't even feel it. But I'm in this here. And I want you to know that you do have a crutch. We have each other. If you get weary, you got somebody to lean on. Now, I want you, if you got the hint, you know what the next song is. I want you to remember a few things in closing. I want you to remember to stay focused. I want you to remember to stay vigilant. I want you to remember your mission. I want you to remember to stay on course. I want you to remember to stay dangerous. And most importantly, I want you to remember to stay cool.